Coming up next on Rap About It with Mal Adams, the great and inimitable jazz guitarist Calvin Keys. Calvin Keys is a legend among soul jazz fans and known for his lean, muscular, single-string solo style. He was born in 1942 in Omaha, Nebraska. His first musical influence was his father Otis, a well-known drummer, who passed the music bug on to Calvin. In 1971, he signed with Black Jazz label, released a pair of albums and played in the Ray Charles Orchestra. Keys' unique phrasing and his ability to balance sophisticated jazz harmonics with tough rhythm and blues and soul grooves were showcased nightly in the Charles Band. By 1975, Keys had relocated to the San Francisco Bay Area, where he became, and remains, an avid participant in its jazz community. He worked in live performance settings and recording sessions with John Handy, Bobby Hutcherson, Eddie Marshall, Bob Gray, Ed Kelly, Eddie Duran, Bruce Forman, Junius Simmons, and Eddie Moore. He was sidelined in 1997 by heart surgery, undergoing a quadruple bypass. Undaunted, he released the widely acclaimed Detours into Unconscious Rhythms on Wide Hive Records and toured in the US and Europe. In 2005, Keys recorded Calvin-esque for Silverado. The album hit number 30 on the jazz charts. In 2006, he released Vertical Clearance followed by Handmade Portrait on Silverado. Calvin Keys remains active on the jazz scene today with frequent appearances in San Francisco Bay Area venues. He is a member and teacher of the Oakland Public Conservatory. He also mentors upcoming musicians, gives private lessons, and is a frequent teacher at Jazz Camp West. Stay right here for the upcoming edition of Rap About It with Mal Adams featuring the great Calvin Keys. You'll be glad you did. Thank you.
You're tuned to GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Towtown Communications Company Limited. Towtown presents Japan Journal. Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the internet's #1 English language weekly online cybercast from Japan. And now your host, Mal Adams.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rap About It, a series of Japan Journal, the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan. We're streaming to you live all over the world on GNN, the Global News Network, a social media network of the Towtown Communications Group Japan. And this program is being presented by Towtown Communications Company Limited, Towtown Records, Adams International Academy, Towtown Tea, and yes, Mal's Bar, now known as Mama's Bar. We thank you for watching and thank you for your ongoing support. We invite you to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, share us, and feel free to leave a comment. All of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our guest today. Please join me in welcoming the great jazz, soul, and blue guitarist, Mr. Calvin Keys. Brother, welcome.
All right then, Brother Adams. Thank you for having me here.
It's my pleasure, man. It's been a long time in coming, and we haven't done this since 2007, if it hits me right. But it wasn't a sit down; it was an impromptu situation.
Yes, it was.
And Omaha, baby, folks. This is my big hometown brother, man. We are
right on.
Omaha, Nebraska.
The near north side.
The near north side.
All right.
So listen, man, let me just get in from the beginning. First of all, my condolences to your beloved mother making her transition, man. I know that was recently. Let's start there, man. Tell me about your mom. What was her name, and how did she influence your musical education?
Well, my mother's name was Ruby Alberta Smith. That was her maiden name. She married my father, Otis Calvin Keys, divorced him and married Hugo Smith,
Okay.
and had 2 kids by Hugo, divorced him, and then she was married to Sidney Smith.
There's a lot of Smiths.
And her maiden name was Smith.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I said, Mama, you just a Smith girl. She said, I guess so. But she made her transition on August the 5th, which was her birthday. And she was 99 years old on her birthday, August 5th.
Wow, man.
That's when she made her transition.
And was she in Omaha when she passed? Or
Omaha, Nebraska, yes.
Omaha?
3536 North 28th Street.
Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, basically, yeah, after we came out of the projects on 31st and Lake, Hilltop Projects, yes.
You were in the Hilltop. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were open. I turned 12 years old when we moved into them projects.
All right.
And I won't forget, because Mama said, son, until you're 12 years old, all your sins is on me. When you turn 12, they on you. So we moved into the projects when I turned 12, and I straightened up. I said, yep, I had to get rid of them little eggheads that I was hanging out with. But it all worked out though, man. That was beautiful.
Man, that was
she made her transition when she was 99. And so I went home the next day, and she said she had left directions to my siblings that she wanted 2 hours to be seen in the funeral home. And the next day, she wanted to be buried up at the cemetery next to her husband. And that's what we did. And it was beautiful.
Wow, that's great. Well, my condolences, man. That's something. But you had a long time, 99 years, buddy.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So blessed to hang that long, huh?
Yeah, she was. Mom told me when I had a birthday in February, she said, Calvin, I've been praying to the Lord that he let me live long enough to see my firstborn turn 80 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I said, Mom, he blessed you and blessed me too, because I just turned 80 this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus, man.
And she told me, she said, I've never wanted you to become a musician. But I said, if you're going to be one, try to be the best. And there's something I want to tell you, and I don't want you to ever forget it. I said, what's that, Mom? She said, be careful, because you always get what you want.
Oh, I see.
It took me 30 years to figure out what she was saying, but she knew exactly what she was saying. And that was some of the most encouraging
advice
she ever said to me.
Well, what did she mean by that? What do you think she actually meant? You are a type of person that when you strive for something, you accomplish it. Is that it?
We all do that. She said, be careful, because you always get what you want. In my lifetime, I realized that I thought I wanted some things that I didn't want. I didn't need them. So most of the things I always wanted was to be able to play the guitar and do some recordings and have my own records.
But when did you realize that? How old were you in Omaha at that time?
When I turned 12, when we moved into the projects.
Wow.
See, I started looking at life in a whole different perspective. Like I said, I was down there hanging out with some friends of mine that I will not mention their names. And we used to break in a few houses.
Okay.
And we used to go into the grocery store and turn the guy's turn his eyes so he couldn't see us taking candy and stuff. We always had some mischievous things going on. But when I turned 12, I realized that I was going to have to quit doing that. And that's when I ran into my uncle, who was a guitar player, playing Uncle Ivory. He played the blues, and I used to watch him. And I'd come home from school and go down in the basement and hook up his guitar.
Okay.
And start playing with it. And that was the beginning. I was 13.
Now, before you moved in the projects, where were you in Omaha?
The last place that I knew of was over on 25th and Hamilton.
Wow, okay.
Up the street from Kellum School.
Sure, sure.
And but see, my uncle was a very great influence on me too, because my dad was a drummer, but his mother, my grandmother, and my mother thought that all musicians was crazy. Thought they were, drug addicts or alcoholics or womenizers,
yeah,
and gamblers. So he didn't have a chance. So I think I inherited his musical germ. Was passed on to me. But like I said, it came out through my Uncle Ivory, who played the blues on the guitar, and I used to watch him.
Did you ever play with your father or watch him play in clubs?
Yeah, I seen him play one time with the Carolina Cotton Pickers.
But he's Omaha-based cat, right?
Yeah. He played with Preston Love, too. They grew up together.
Wow, okay.
And he played with Preston. But then the Carolina Cotton Pickers came to Omaha, and they needed a drummer, so I think that was his biggest thing he ever did was play with them.
That was his ticket.
Yeah, that was his ticket. But he never did turn professional. But when I left and moved to California and started traveling and things, I would go back home. And each time I go home, took another step. And he said, damn, Calvin, he said, you must be one of the greatest guitar players on the planet. I said, Daddy, I'm just one of many. I'm still searching for that note. And one time I was at the showcase, and I said, you know what I want you to do? He said, what? I said, I want you to get up here and play with me. He said, I can't play with. I said, Daddy.
Wow.
I don't want to hear it. Get up here and play with me.
Okay.
So he got up on the drums and played with me with that 4/4 bass drum and shuffle. And that was the first time he played with me, man. It was beautiful. Then I got my daddy to play with me.
Man.
And he never forgot that.
Well, you never forgot it either. That had to impact you in some way.
Oh, it did. So it did impact me. So it gave me some more inspiration and everything. Because when I first left Omaha, I went on the road with Little Walking Willie. And we went to St. Louis, Missouri. I think I might have been 16 or 17. And
I don't know that name. He wasn't that famous, was he?
Saxophone player.
I see.
And he had a grandfather in Omaha. So he came to Omaha and Ray made the clubs, and he seen me playing at the Offbeat.
Okay.
He needed a guitar player for a month, because I think he has got busted for driving while he was drunk or something.
Okay.
But he asked me, could I go on the road with him for $125 a week? I said, well, you'd have to come home and ask my mom.
How old were you?
I think I was 16, maybe.
But you were still up in the Offbeat.
Yeah, I'd already got out of school.
Okay.
And because she said, well, I don't want you to leave because you got to finish school. I had all my credits and everything.
Where did you go, Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the projects, yeah. Walking distance.
He came and asked her, and she said no. And so I was so upset. After he left, and I thought about it, and I got up the next morning, and I told Mama, I said, Mama, we've always been honest with each other, and you taught me how to be honest with you and everything. I said, well, I'm saying that to say that I'm going to go on the road with Little Walking Willie if I have to leave while you sleep. And she said, really? I said, yes. She said, okay. That's when she said, well, Junior, I don't want you to be no musician, but if you just going to be one, try to be the best. And that's when she said, one thing I'm going to tell you, I don't want you to ever forget it. Be careful. You always get what you want. Wow. I went on the road with Little Walking Willie, and we went to Riviera Ballroom in St. Louis, Missouri for 3 days.
Wow.
And he had this girl singing with him named Jewel Brenner.
Okay.
She was 6'2", 40, beautiful.
Wow.
And she had on a wig, so she couldn't sing a lick. But when she got up and sang her number and everything, we got through with her, she would bend over and her wig would fall off. And she was all here, like Jewel Brenner.
Oh man.
But you, old Brenner,
Yeah,
that
Jules.
was the hook. That was the hook.
That
And
was
so,
the hook, baby. How would you not
hey,
remember Jules Brenner?
yeah. So when I went on the road, we went to Riviera Ballroom for 3 weeks, St. Louis, and then we went to Cleveland, Ohio, at this club called oh man, what's the name of that club in Cleveland? I can't. But anyway, I stayed at the Majestic Hotel.
So you rode with him for a while. That wasn't just
Yeah. Well, I went out with him for 4 weeks.
okay.
He told me, "I'm gonna give you $125 a week, and I'm gonna take care of your rent and everything."
Was he a blues cat?
Yeah, he played the blues. Yeah, he would walk the bar.
Mm.
Little Walking Woolly. That's why they call him Walking Woolly. He get to playing and get up on the bar and walk from one end to the
Oh
bar,
yeah.
the other end,
Wow.
and come on back down. Little Walking Woolly.
Wow.
And so we did Gleason's in Cleveland for 2 weeks. And then we left Gleason's and went to McKeesport, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh, for a week. And that's when he called me, he said, "Calvin, my guitar player is back, so I'm gonna have to send you back to Omaha." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "But I have to thank you because you really saved me.
Mm.
And I liked your playing and everything. And thank you. And so you can go on back home." And so his guitar player came in and got up on the bandstand and played. He played so much guitar, I crawled under the table because I was kind of embarrassed. I didn't know nothing about the guitar, but he showed me a couple,
That's good.
he showed me a couple of cards and inspired me and told me to keep doing what I was doing. And so I went on back to Omaha. I got on the train, went back to Omaha. I had $500 in my pocket, and I was a little undecided because watching him play, I said, "Oh man, I'll never play like that." And then he encouraged me to do it anyway. And then I said, "Now what am I gonna do in Omaha, man? Ain't nothing like this going on in Omaha."
Well, let me ask you, but before you transition into that, how did
Mm-hmm.
you get your chops good enough at 16 years old to go out on the road with a professional and play? Self-taught? You taught by self-taught, or did you take lessons?
I was self-taught. And we had 3 or 4 different guitar players in Omaha. Papa Luther Guitar Woodrow, the Night Riders. And then I worked with this band called Dr. Spider in his rock and roll webs at the first and last chance over in South Omaha.
Yeah.
But then I worked with Andre and the Ramrods at the Junior Workman's Club.
Now, that wasn't Andre Lewis, was it?
No, that wasn't him, no.
Okay.
But and so I was working in different clubs. I worked in the Apex.
Oh yeah, now you're getting into my generation.
so that was the beginning of it, man.
Wow.
And so the showcase was the Allen's showcase.
Oh, Paul Allen! Shout out to Paul Allen.
His wife Dorothy was the one who stayed on his case about me.
Okay.
She said, "Calvin got a certain talent." She said, "Paul, you keep him working."
I remember we called her Aunt Dorothy. Paul and my dad were like brothers, man.
I needed a new guitar. Paul went down to hospice and co-signed for it. Okay. And I paid. He said, "Calvin, I knew you was going to become something because out of all the musicians I signed to get the instruments, you the only one ever paid for yours." Wow. I said, "Really?" But then that's how I got good enough to go out with Little Walking Woolly. And so after I came home from McKeesport, Mama said, "What you gonna do now, Calvin?" I said, "I don't know, sweetie." I never recovered, really. And so I told her, I said, my daddy had moved to Kansas City. I told her, I said, "Well, you know what I think I'm gonna do, Mom? I'm gonna go down to Kansas City with my daddy." Mm. And so I went on down to Kansas City, and he was staying on 12th Street at this hotel. And I went down there and checked in, and I went out and got a job in this club called the Nightingale on 12th and Woodland, I think. Okay. I was working. I got me a bass player and a drummer, and I was working 6 nights a week in 5 matinees.
You put your own band together?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The blues.
Now that's Kansas City, Missouri, right? That was the joint where all the music was for the region, for the Midwest, right?
Really, that's where Bird from. Charlie Parker.
Bird, and
Hey man, it was
yeah, cats like Lester Young, Oklahoma, down in there, man.
all of them.
Yeah,
Everybody on
it's amazing. And so did you catch some of those cats and hear some?
oh, every chance I got, I went over to the Union Hall on 19th and Vine, and they had plenty of musicians learning, studying, coming up with different things, man, about the music. Count Basic. You know, I didn't know who
That was lit, man. And of course, Preston Love, you shouted him out, but he sat first chair on the alto, right?
Basic band, that's right. But see, when I got to Kansas City and started my own group, I went into a whole nother thing, see. And so I worked for Happy Bruno for almost a year and a half. And I'm steady learning. You know, I'm meeting other musicians and they sharing with me. And I'm doing a little self-taught reading, you know, studying and stuff. And then I went back to Omaha. I felt a little more advanced.
Okay.
Because I had been learning.
Let me pin you down on that because I'm interested about this process. People like to say, "Oh, these great black musicians, it's intuitive. You know, they don't study; they just got it." But tell me about your process. How did you acquire the knowledge? And you had, of course, you had hearing and you had feeling and you had rhythm because you're a rhythm guitarist, you know. But talk to me a little bit about that for our young listeners who might want to pick up something about how to improve. What were you doing?
Well,
what was your process?
You're only as good as who you're with. In order to get I got with some of the better musicians who were much older than me.
Interesting.
They would pass certain ideologies down to me, certain techniques.
Wow. See?
You know, and say, don't do it like that, Captain. You do it like this. You know, and I said, oh, okay. And I go home and practice.
Wow.
And there was a guitar player in Kansas City named Leonard Enoys, who was a mother. And he was on the level of Wes Montgomery, a bunch of other cats, and all the musicians knew him. And Jeep Gridiron was another guitar player. I used to hang out with all the guitar players.
Man, these names are killing me. These names, you remember them all, though.
But hey, you know, that's what it was. And so each time I'm steady getting a little better. So I go back to Omaha. And so when I get back to Omaha, I feel a little more stronger because I've learned some things, you know.
Give me a year, roughly. When was that? You talking about the early 60s?
Well, I'm thinking about maybe
early 60s, yeah?
Maybe the late 50s.
Late 50s, okay.
Yeah. So I go back home and well, in 1960, this boy came from Kansas City named Frank Edwards, and he was in the service and he got discharged. Organ player, monster organ player. So he got booked in the showcase. So he came to Omaha and auditioned a few guitar players, and he chose me. So I started working with Frank Edwards at the showcase, Allen Showcase, which was the entrance to the Chitlin circuit that we came up with.
Sure.
And so the beginning of the Chitlin circuit was Kansas City, OG's Lounge. We worked 2 months there, and then we come to Omaha and work 2 months at the showcase, and leave there and go to Denver, Colorado, work 2 months at the Leroy's Voters Club, and then we go to San Francisco to the Booker T. Washington Hotel with Charles Sullivan, worked 2 months there, come to Oakland to Don Barksdale Sportsman, and then maybe his showcase. In each one of these clubs, we're working 2 weeks at a time.
Wow.
I mean, 2 months, I'm sorry. And making $150 a week.
Wow.
1960, 61, 62, 63 through 66. That was good money then. So you're like 17, 18-year-old youngster.
You're born in 1942 or 43?
42.
So you're my sister's age. So you just turned 80. She did too. So that's my sister Madeline. I don't know if y'all ever knew each other, but Yeah, you know my brother
That was
Mark.
good money then. I was a young man. I'm like 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
And that was good money then. And so we'd work 2 months, 8 weeks in each one of those clubs. So that was a chitlin circuit. So Kansas City, Omaha, Denver, San Francisco, Oakland. So I was in the Bay Area. I was traveling 6, 7 months out of the year.
Wow. That's why we never saw you around Omaha.
I was moving, man. I was moving. So we go, and so when we ended up in the last club we worked in Oakland was Esther's Orbit Room in West Oakland on 7th Street.
Okay.
And there was a gentleman named Geddings who had a record company. And he would go through the neighborhood with the 45s that he would make, sell them to the hoods. We couldn't compete against all them big record companies.
No.
He'd sell the 45s and most of the blues artists that was known and so on and so forth. And so I ended up going back to Kansas City with Frank. So I worked with Frank all the way up from 1960, 61 through 65 on that chitlin circuit. And then I get to the point, and see, Frank introduced me to a lot of music that I didn't know about because he knew he could play saxophone and he played the organ. Jimmy Smith and them loved him. Jack McDuff, Jimmy McGriff, all of them loved Frank.
McGriff, yeah.
In the meantime, Frank is turning me on to Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Arthur Red Prysock, and all the musicians, And so I'm steady getting better. So I'm getting to the point now, and I don't, the organ is okay. But then Jimmy Smith hit the scene. He turned the organ around.
Yes, he did.
Kenny Burrell and Donald Bailey. And so I'm saying, oh, man, that's where I want to get to. But then the group we had, Richard Ross on drums, Frank Edwards on the organ, and myself on guitar, we developed a nice repertoire.
Okay.
Going through these different clubs over the country.
So what kind of music you talking about? It was a jazzy, bluesy stuff or what?
Yeah, it was a chitlin circuit. That's what we called it. But see, I'm getting
was the blue. I'm talking about John. What? Because it's jazz, it's fusion, all kind of labels. What was the music you were playing at that time?
Most of the blues, and we was doing a little swinging.
Okay.
See, I'm steady learning. I'm steady looking and better. And so I said, I'm getting tired of this organ. I said, I think I might want to get with me a piano player. Piano was the granddaddy of all the instruments.
Okay.
And so in Denver, I just happened to see Ahmad Jamal was working at the Red Embers.
Wow.
And I said, I'm going to go over here and see if I can play something with Ahmad because I'm very fond of his music. And I had 6 aunts and 8 uncles. And they played on the weekend was Ahmad. Because that album, Ponciana, Live at the Prison, was so popular.
Sure. It was big. And I'm a little cat. And my brother Ralph, who would be 85 right now, introduced me to Ahmad Jamal. In the near north side, they call it Amajama.
Yeah, that's right. So I walked up to him at the Red Embers and asked me, could I sit in with him? He said, no, young man, I have a closed set. I said, okay. So I continued to work with Frank, and then something happened, I left Frank and I started working with some more organ players around Denver. And I'm still saying to myself, I want to work with me a piano player. And so I came back to Omaha, and went back to Kansas City and started another organ group. So the year 67 and 68, I worked in OG's Lounge in Kansas City. I was working 5 nights a week and two nights over in Kansas. And I had a jam session going on Saturdays. Matter of fact, Pat Metheny used to come down to the jam session, but he never got up and played. His dad used to bring him down there.
Well, wait a minute. Now you're still in the 60s or late 60s now?
Yeah, I'm in the 60s. I'm in the middle of the 60s. I'm in the 60s.
And you ran into Pat Metheny back then?
Well, I didn't know him. See, I hadn't met him.
Well, and he ended up writing a tune about you.
His daddy used to bring him down there.
Oh,
And
wow.
he never got up and set in. So I never met Pat Metheny until some years later.
But didn't he write a song called
Yes, he did. That's what I'm getting to.
Calvin's Keys?
Yeah, right. That's part of it, see.
Wow, okay.
So I decided I wanted to move to LA from Kansas City. And so I worked 67 and 68. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm getting ready to go to move to Los Angeles. Because I didn't want to move to New York because, it was more action. I've been to LA before. Mm-hmm. And so I worked 67 and 68. And then I came home 68. I worked at the Showcase and brought in the New Year, the 69. So I worked at the Showcase, brought the New Year in. In the meantime, I done bought me a brand new Buick. I had me a new guitar and a new wardrobe and a couple of dollars. And
okay, let me interject something right here.
Mm-hmm.
That now you said 69.
Yes.
At 19 years old, I started in the news business behind Harold Dow at Omaha Channel 7, right?
Wow.
But the year before, I graduated from Central in 1967, and in 1968, I saw you play for the first time. That's really when I got on there. You came to the University of Omaha and did a session for the Black Student Union or something. You remember that? And vaguely, right? But yeah. But it was the biggest thing, man. Calvin Keys, homeboy, man, baddest cat.
But so I moved to Los Angeles in March of 69.
Okay.
And I had a brand new 1969 deuce and a quarter Buick. And I ended up selling that Buick in 1972 with 130,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And I did that in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Went in and out them joints looking for some work.
Served you well.
All of a sudden, I get a call from Ray Charles. He heard about this young guitar player in town with a new car and he's sharp, got some class and everything. So I went down and auditioned for Ray and he hired me.
He heard about you?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's what's part of LA and that's what's part of Ray's thing. Any African-American musician coming to Los Angeles, just saying something, he got to go through the Ray Charles Orchestra. See, that was part of the deal. I didn't know it then. But I went down there and auditioned and got the gig.
Wow.
So I started working with Ray in 1971, I think.
Wow.
But then Larry Gales had left Thelonious T. Monk and moved to LA and had him a after-hours coffee shop over in Leimert Park off of Crenshaw.
Sure.
And that's where all the musicians hung out because Larry T. was from Thelonious Monk.
Wow.
Everybody wanted to play with Larry Gales. And so we'd go over there and hang out after hours. And so they had a piano player to come through there named Gene Russell. Mm-hmm. Gene asked, he said, Calvin, he says, how you feel about recording? I said, that's what I'm trying to do. He said, well, I'm getting ready to start this record label called Black Jazz Records. You be interested in joining this? I said, I'd love to. So I had already hooked up with Doug and Gene Carr, Michael Carvin, and the piano player that played with Bird. Oh man, I can't think of his name. But anyway, and now I started studying. But I'm working with Ray now all the time. I got me a steady income. Ray took a break. We took a hiatus. And so I started studying with Irvin Ashby.
Okay.
Irvin Ashby was a guitar player with Nat King Cole.
Wow.
I used to drive to Paris, California, which was 60 miles from LA, and take lessons from Irvin. Irvin had a big blonde L7 guitar. He said, can you learn how to play this one? I'm going to give this to you. But my hand, I was so small, I couldn't play that. He played like it was a toy.
Yeah, I've seen photos of it. It looked like a cello, man.
He gave me a book, one of his books. And he said, Cal, this is a book that I wrote, and I want to give it to you. I said, okay. And he said, if you go through my book 1, you will learn how to play the guitar. I said, okay. But he said, if you go through my book 2, you will become a guitarist.
Mm-mm.
And I said, what? I ain't never heard it put to me like that.
Hey.
And sure enough, man, I went
Now
through.
that you think of it.
Hey, man, I started studying out his book and getting some things, some nice tunes and chords and scales and stuff. And then I realized that all of a sudden I ain't getting no gigs. So I said, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go back out with Ray. So I ended up going back out with Ray because I had a steady income then, you know. But I had to quit. I had to give up Irving. But in the meantime, when I came in LA, I would start studying orchestration with this brother named what was Ernest L. Crawford.
Okay.
He was a 60-year man, a classical pianist and teacher.
Mm.
I started studying with him, orchestration. I studied with him for about 2.5 years. In them 2.5 years that I studied with Ernest Crawford, it was equivalent to any 10 years stretch in any university on the planet.
Wow.
That's how bad he was.
So in that 2-year period, were you just gigging around, picking up gigs or what?
I'm working with
Based in LA, right?
Yeah, I'm working with Ray. When we come in for, off time and everything, I'm starting working in these different clubs.
Where were you living in LA at that time? You know where Adams and Western is?
Yes. The
I was
Tiki
right.
Island was Ellis in Western.
I was on Adams and Western, my first house. When I left Omaha, went there, and it was a hotel. And the lady turned it into apartments, and I rented one on the 3rd floor. My wife from Japan, and she told me this used to be a hotel, and the woman was from Omaha.
I wonder who.
And you'll remember, if I can remember the name of the hotel, right there on Adams and Western. She said the flat that you're renting, Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, all of them stayed in that room.
Wow.
So they would come and what's the fighter's name? Middleweight. Sugar Ray lived down the road.
Okay, well, see, I stayed. I was going with my teacher, Ernest L. Crawford. Had a one room on Crenshaw in Western.
Okay, see, right around the corner.
Building.
Yeah.
And I used to go up there and take lessons from him and give him a little herb to cool him out. And then I take him to the train stations because he loved railroad trains. He never got over trains since he was a kid. And I sat there with him and milk him for getting some more knowledge of his brain. And I said, wow. And so in the meantime, when I ain't with Ray, I'm in the pool hall.
Okay.
How to play some 9-ball in one pocket. And so the girl that I was with called me one afternoon. She said, Calvin. I said, what? Barbara K called me. I said, what? She said, Asman Jamal called here 3 times for you. I said, really? He was getting ready to open up at this club on Santa Monica. Oh, man, I can't think, because he had a lightweight hit called The World is a Ghetto. And so this club, he was getting ready to open up for 2 weeks, and they had another club, another singing group that was going to open for him. But he said, Calvin, I'm getting ready to go in here to Troubadour.
Troubadour?
Yeah, on Santa Monica. He said, I need a guitar. He said, I'm going to be there for a couple of weeks. And I got this guitar on this new album I got, and I need a guitar player. He said, are you interested? I said, of course. So I run home, take a shower, and get sharp, and go on up to the Troubadour.
Wow.
And it was about 8:30. He said, well, let's go upstairs. I want to run over some music with you. So we goes up to his suite and ran over some of his songs. And he said, Calvin, do you read that well? I said, not really, Ahmad. But I told you, I said, I got 8 uncles, 6 aunties, and on the weekends, all they played was your music.
Wow.
That's how I learned some of your songs.
Wow.
I worked with him for 2 weeks at the Troubadour. He was impressed with me, and I was impressed with him. He said, you know what, Calvin? I said, I really like you playing with me. He said, as a matter of fact, would you like to go on the road with me? I said, I'd be honored. So he called me for the next 2 months. He'd call me once a week. And I said, well, after 2 months, I said, look, what you doing, man? You pulling my leg? What's happening? He said, I ain't ready to. I said, look, I'm going to have to go back out with Ray or something because I got to get me a job. I ain't working. I need to pay my rent and shit. He said, okay. About a week later, I got a call from him. He said, you got a ticket at the airport to come to New York, and I'll pick you up if I don't know I have somebody to get you. And that was my beginning working with him.
How many years was it? How long did you work with him? 5 years?
I'm out off and on for about 10, 11 years.
Oh, man.
I did 7 albums with him.
Now, let me ask you something about technique and theory and all that. His piano playing, he's just a great virtuoso piano player, and which he had to have some knowledge about reading and orchestration and all of that. But you had picked up all of this stuff. You said you studied orchestration, and you could lock with him. What was it that he liked about your playing? Did you give him that jazzy, funky thing?
On both streets yet. Excuse me.
Okay, that's what
I'm saying. The thing of it was, I'm still studying with Irvin Ashby, right? And so what I do with Ahmad, he play all them different voices and chords.
Yes, he would. That's what I'm talking about.
And I used to go and bug Chime. I said, Ahmad, on this one tune you played, you're playing this chord, and I'm trying to figure out what could I play to compensate what you're doing and not get in your way. Yeah. And so forth. He said, well, just listen at it and see what you can come up with. And so I started figuring out little 3 and 4 note cards that I could play with him that would inspire him and still not get in his way.
Sure.
With a guitar and piano player.
I know that was hard because he was all over the place.
We used to run into some train wrecks.
I'm sure.
But the more I played with him and the more he explained things with me and my ear and everything, it started coming together.
Wow.
And Mom, we used to have some of the damnedest sessions.
Wow.
And I just listen, and whatever I hear, I could inspire him with. So we developed that rapport over the years.
That's great, man.
And it was incredible.
That was great.
And like I said, that was one of the most beautiful relationship to learning how to play with a piano player.
Sure.
Hey man, Ahmad, he told me, he said, Calvin, you know, Miles is looking for a guitar player. I said, so?
So?
Dean Weston, Randy Weston's son, was playing percussion with us. And he said, Calvin, what you gonna do about that, man? Said, Miles looking for a guitar player. I said, you know what, Alzadine? He said, what? I said, man, as far as I'm concerned, I'm at the mountaintop working with Ahmad.
Hey, man.
Now, I don't know.
You mentioned Randy Weston. Don't skip over that Randy Weston. The Afro jazz cat.
One of the masters.
The baddest cat, man. Wow. I didn't know he had a son, and his son was an artist as well.
Yeah, he was a genius percussionist. He was raised over in Morocco.
Wow.
Randy Weston's son, Azadine Weston. Randy wrote a song called Little Niles.
Yeah.
And that was Randy. When Randy was born, when little Azadine was born, Randy wrote it.
You know a cat out of New York named Alex Blake, bassist player?
Of course.
Panamanian. See, you're laughing. See, did I get the right name?
Of course. Alex Blake. I played with Alex Blake when I worked with David Duras.
Oh, my. See.
And Alex Blake was playing piano. He was playing bass, man, of course.
Oh, genius on the bass, man.
Master. See, working with Ahmad, I got a chance to meet so many different musicians.
I know you did.
And I told Ahmad, I said, Ahmad, when we going to play New York? He said, Calvin, I don't play New York. I said, why? Interesting. I said, well, I don't. And he booked a gig at this restaurant off of 5th Street. we went in there.
Wait. Sorry for interrupting. Why? What did he say about not playing in New York? He didn't care to play in New York.
Well, he was from New York. That's where he lived.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And he lived in New Rochelle.
Okay.
And I stayed in the apartment in his upstairs in his house when I got tired of down on 47th Street.
Sure, you're right.
So, you know, him and his daughter used to get up. And she was a violinist. She was a cello player.
Wow.
And they used to get up every morning and practice an hour before she went to school. And the New York Philharmonic wanted her.
Oh, man.
To give her the first chair. She said, I don't want to play no damn cello in no band. She's got her own office and shit. But anyway, you know, it was like, man, and when he booked this club, I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but the opening night, I'm looking at Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra, and all of the top guns.
Yeah, man.
And so we worked there for a week.
Now you're in the 70s, right?
Yeah. Well, this is around 74, 75.
Mm-hmm.
I called back to Maria and said, come on, I want you to come to New York. She came to New York for that second week with me, with Amar. And we did the 42nd Street, a couple of theaters and things. But it was so beautiful. So she went back to Berkeley. And me and Amar, we went on to Toronto. So I called Maria back. I called back here and asked her, I said, are you all right? She said, oh, yeah. And she said, Calvin, I just want to let you know how beautiful time I had with you in New York, with Amar and everybody. And I said, well, I want to let you know I had the same time. And I said, we're going to Toronto for a week or so, and I'll be back. When I come back, I'm going to come on back to California. And she says, when you do, by the way, this is your new address and telephone number.
What?
She asked me shit. She said, this is your new address and telephone number. 1825 Derby. I forgot the number. But me and her.
Where's that, in Berkeley?
In Berkeley, yeah.
Okay.
Right off of Martin.
Where are you now, by the way? Where are you now? You in Berkeley?
I'm in Oakland.
You're in Oakland.
9th Avenue, off of Park Boulevard, 2 blocks from Oakland High.
Okay.
We've been together ever since. And that's going on.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
50 years.
Yes, sir. I know.
And so, hey, and I've been working with off and on. I worked with Amar all the way up until, I don't know when I quit, in the 80s.
Man, you're a walking encyclopedia.
And when I left Amar, I had a quartet over on the Embarcadero at this restaurant called Barclay Jack's. I had a beautiful quartet. I had Dick Whittington on piano, Big Ed Williams on bass, Bob Bray on drums, and myself. I was working there Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And one night, this gentleman walked in and sat down at the table with a couple of ladies. And the waitress came over to me with a note. And the note said, Mr. Keys, I am Earl Father Hines. Would you join me for a drink? I said, damn. So I went during the break, and we sat down and I had a drink. And so we enjoyed that evening. So I went on back up there after announcing him, you know, and acknowledging him and everything.
Sure.
Next night he came back. I said, damn, there's Earl Father Hines again. So he sat down and he wrote something on a piece of paper and gave it to the waitress and told her to bring it to me.
Okay.
He brought it to me again and said to come down and have another drink with me, Calvin. I said, okay. So we took a break and I went down and sat down at his table with him. And he looked at me and he said, Calvin, he said, I got something I want to say to you. I said, what's happening, Pops? I said, is it all right to call you Pops? He said, yeah. He said, you know what, I've been listening at you. He said, you play that guitar like I used to play the piano. I said, what?
Ooh, I know that must have messed you up. But
oh man, I told my father, you know that is one of the greatest compliments I've ever had in my life. He said, well, I'm saying that to see that band like you got up there. I said, yeah. He said, can you get a band like that for me? I said, huh? He said, can you get a band like that for me? I said, yes.
You're looking at it.
I said, come by my house tomorrow and we're going to watch the game. And after the game, we're going to talk some business.
Okay.
He said, I want you to be my band leader, my musical director.
Oh, man.
I said, wow. So I went to his house and it was on, man. We had a beautiful house. Oh, man, it was so beautiful. Wow. He was only the baddest. I mean, he wasn't no joke, man. I mean, Father Hines was one of the most incredible pianists. And I didn't went from Mama Simone to Earl Father Hines.
Man.
And it was both of them were monsters. So I mean, I said, what the hell? I don't know. But anyway, that was the beginning. I worked with Father for about a couple of years, up until he died.
Now, when he heard you play and all this conversation, that was in California?
Yes.
So I think of him as a New York cat, no?
He was everywhere.
He was everywhere.
We went out on an 8-week tour when I first joined him. And we went to New York, Chicago.
Okay.
And Philadelphia, I think. And when we got back to Oakland, I said, Father, we just did a hell of a tour. And he said, Calvin, that was just part of it. And he said, I got another gig coming this Sunday that I wanted to take the band and you. And we went to this big church in Chicago. And we walked in that church, and it must have been 400 or 500 people.
Sure.
He was on the bandstand, and he hit that first chord, and the whole church went nuts.
It's crazy, yeah.
Said, wow. And I've played in small churches, man, but this was something like, you thought the president of the United States had walked in.
Sure.
And he said, Calvin,
big old cathedral.
Yeah, beautiful, man. And he said, we're going to have to do some more of these. I said, okay.
Oh.
We came on back to Oakland, man. And so we was getting ready to go out on an 8-week tour of the colleges throughout the country. And that's when he said, Cal, we closed at this club up over in San Francisco called Kimball's West.
Sure, I know Kimball's. Yeah.
Franklin, up the street from that big center. And he said, all right, Cal, he said, get prepared. He said, because we're going to leave Wednesday or Thursday. And he said, we're going to be gone for about 4 or 5 weeks. So, get prepared. I said, okay. He goes in the hospital Monday. And I told him, I said, well, Pops, I'll give you a call tomorrow, Tuesday. He said, okay. So I called the hospital and they wouldn't let me talk to him. I said, well, what's happening? I'm his band leader. What are y'all doing? He said, well, he's under he can't be disturbed right now. And I said, okay, well, tell him I called and I'll call him back tomorrow.
Wow.
And they said, okay. Wednesday morning, my phone rang about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And they said, is this Mr. Keys? I said, yes. They said, Mr. Keys, I got some very disheartening news to tell you. I said, what are you talking about? She said, Mr. Earl Father Hines just passed this morning.
Oh, man, come on.
I said, who's playing games? Don't play no games with me. And she said, I'm sorry, I'm not playing a game. And so, man, when I found out that he had passed, man, I was like, oh,
wow.
And he had a set of pleated ties. You ever seen a pleated tie?
No.
He had 4 ties with 4 pleats in each one that he would wear. It was so sharp because he always was sharp. Father, where did you get those ties, pleated ties like that? He said, you ain't never seen no pleated tie, huh? I said, I said, where did you get those ties? He said, one of my producers had them made for me over in Italy.
Yeah.
I said, really? I said, well, Pops, when you get ready to make your transition, I want them ties. He said, you got it.
You got it.
And so what happened was all of his memorabilia, piano, and everything was up at the University of Berkeley and University of California in Berkeley. The second floor, they took all these stuff and put them up there. And the piano and everything. And those ties are there. And the guy called me and told me, he said, Mr. Keys, I got some ties here. It says they're yours. And I said, those are Father Hines ties. He said, yeah. I said, well, he said, when you get ready, you come up here and get them when you get ready. And I ain't never felt like I wanted to go get them. So
sure.
That's, you know, so they've been there since, I don't know where they, I think they're still up there.
Jesus.
And that was, man, but I'm saying, you know, and then that's just part of some of the things that I've done working with different artists over
let me while I got you in San Francisco, when did you start working with John Handy, who is a San Francisco cat, a Bay Area cat? I saw him in your lineup.
Yes.
Tell me about John.
I worked with John at this club over on Divisadero. I can't think of it. It was an African name. African brother had the club. I worked with him a couple of times. And then we did several concerts he called me for.
I see. You never toured with him.
I did one tour with him.
Okay.
It was about 2-3 weeks tour. And we went up into Oregon. And I think we did one night in Seattle.
Okay.
And I had some reel tapes of those concerts. And I took those tapes and put them in my drawer. And I told John, I said, John, you know, I got these tapes of these tours that we did. We went and did so and so. So he said, oh, really? Okay. He said, well, just hang on to them. And so I had a friend of mine move here from New York, electrician. And she would work with tapes, and I took those tapes over her. I said, can you take these and put them on the disc for me? She said, sure. And I said, I'll come and get them. Call me when you finish them. That was Monday. She called me Thursday. I said, well, where's my tapes, honey? She said, Calvin, I'm sorry. I just can't quit listening to them.
Oh, wow.
He had so much music, I just couldn't quit listening. I was meant to call you, but I said, okay, can I come get my tape? She said, I'm gonna bring them to you this afternoon. She brought them here and gave me them tapes. And I actually paid her. And I took them tapes and listened to them, and I couldn't believe it. I called John Handy. I said, John, I got these tapes of them gigs that me and you went out and did a couple of years ago. And I said, I've never in my life heard on the alto play as much music as you did.
See?
And I said, they talking about Bird and all that. I said,
man, listen.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you about it, man. He invited me to his crib.
I gave him to him. I said, Bird, I said, John, listen to these tapes, and if you don't want,
he was a monster, man.
I said, if you don't want to put them out, I'm gonna put them out eventually.
Sure.
And he said, well, just bring me the tapes, and paid me what I paid for them to have them.
Yeah, man. He played piano as well.
I know.
Great musician.
I had no idea, Malcolm, that music. The music sound, the guitar and the saxophone sound like it was one separate instrument.
See?
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he was a bad cat.
She
actually interviewed him, man.
She listened to me. She said, Calvin, who is that? I said, that's me and John Handy. She said, what?
Yeah, man. So what happened to the music, man?
I still got it. I took it to him and gave him.
We need to talk about that.
and I kept a copy for myself.
Man.
And if you're gonna put this out, I'm gonna put them out eventually.
Man, well, you need to let me
I
help.
mean, like,
We need to drop them in Japan and see what it is, you know?
well, I mean,
We do.
you know, I got the last 3 nights I worked with Earl Father Hines on tape.
Oh my God, man. What?
Yes. The horn player, he wanted the horn section on that gig over there.
Okay.
And he called the horn player up in Napa that he had been working with. His name was Smith. He had a group. And I used to go up and play with them, but he had this one group. And he brought the group down, the horn players down. In the guys that had the group, his father came with it and heard me and like they went nuts.
Okay.
He came back the next night with a tape recorder.
Oh my God.
Under his coat with tape. But he was smart enough, when he went home, he made copies of the tape and came back and gave them to me. He said, Calvin, he said, I got something I want to give you.
Okay.
I said, really? He said, yeah, these are the tapes for your last 3 gigs that y'all did. I said, really? He said, but don't tell nobody because I ain't supposed to do that. I said, I know.
That's
and he gave them to me. I still got them upstairs.
Wow, wow.
I'm taking half, they on the cassette tape, and I'm going to have them transferred over to CD.
Man, you've been with so many cats. I'm jumping around, but I'm looking at the name of list right here.
Oh.
Talk to me about Sonny Stitt.
He came to this club in Berkeley. What was the name of that club? Oh man, it was gold. It was something. But I worked with him and Ed Kelly, Smiley Winters, and Big Ed Williams for 2 weeks in this club. And when Sonny left and went back to Chicago, the club burnt down.
Wow.
Now I don't know why. I think the owner.
Well, that's the mafia insurance, right?
I think. Man, you talking about some music. Well, he was one of the most outstanding alto players I ever heard.
Well, I asked, man. I saw his name on your list, and I'm saying.
And he, it was like, I said, he got to be the closest son to Bird I ever heard. But then it was
Bird not trained?
Huh?
Bird not trained? Closer to Bird?
No. Yeah, trained. I mean Bird. See, Sonny was a master. He was a technician. He was a hell of an alto player and tenor player.
I see.
Okay. But when you're talking about Charlie Parker, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He was the greatest that ever did it.
Never picked it up, baby. Yeah.
He took the horn parts.
You know what? Miles told me about having a word with Charlie Parker. I got a documentary on Miles, and I got the voice of Bird. We acquired the thing, and he was talking. He said, "Yeah, Miles Davis, the Four Aces somewhere in 42nd Street in New York. They had it, and Miles had just quit Juilliard. That's how young he was." Dizzy told me this story, as a matter of fact. But Miles told me that he wanted to quit every night he was playing with Charlie. He couldn't hang, man. He said it was affecting his body, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He was just in awe. He was in awe, and under so much pressure. This guy, but then again, it was honor for him to be there because nobody could hang with Charlie.
Right. And that was the best thing that ever happened to Miles.
Absolutely, because it turned him out.
Turned him out.
Cut him loose. That's the birth of the cool, because after all that heat.
Hey man, but then Miles had a certain ambience about him.
Yes, he did.
He had a certain thing that he could get the best out of anybody that was invited to him.
What I understand.
And with that, saying that, Malcolm, I really kind of wondered what would have happened to me if I'd have went with Miles.
That would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting.
I said, I wonder what would have happened to me if I'd have went on and played with Miles.
Man, yo, listen. Knowing you and knowing him like I do, the vibe would have been incredible, man.
Well, it would have been interesting.
It would have been.
I said,
Personality-wise, he would have dug you, I'm sure, because I don't know musically, y'all wouldn't be able to, but
it would have been interesting. But I know one thing: if it had been on my resume, it would have made a difference.
yeah, true that.
Miles Davis. I think it would make a difference.
I know you dug Joe Henderson. I had a chance to roll with him in Japan at the Mount Fuji Jazz Festival in few years. But you got Pharoah Sanders down there. Tell me about. Let's go to Joe, man. Was he not a genius?
I got a video on YouTube of Calvin Keys and Joe Henderson.
What?
We did 5 tunes in 1984, February the 1st.
Man, listen, that's when I met him. He was coming to the Fuji Jazz Festival, man. Joe could speak Japanese, brother.
Really?
He was smart, man. Real brilliant cat.
He was a genius. Joe said, Calvin, I got a gig over in the city at this place over on, I can't think of the name of that street. And he says, I'd like for you to do it with me if you want to do it. I said, yeah, who else? He said, no, just me and you.
Duh.
I said, yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go.
Nigga, I'm young, full of shit, you know.
Yeah, man.
Let's do it. And so we went over there, and the first tune we opened up with was Invitation. And I want you to go to YouTube, and you can punch that in and see it. Watch it.
Keep talking. I'm going there right now. Let's see if we can find it.
I mean, if you can't get it now, you can get it. Calvin Keys, Joe Henderson, February the 1st, 1984. Some of the most beautiful.
Where was it, in Australia?
No, San Francisco. At this club, and it was an art gallery there on Valencia. And my God. And that it's gonna be issued. It's gonna be put out too.
Who's got the tapes? You?
No, it's a company. I don't know. Them brothers never gave me a copy of the tape. They did it.
Are we talking February? We talking February 1984?
Yes.
I'm looking at it. let me screen share this for our viewers and see if we can go just hear a little bit.
And the first of it is a poster of me and him being there. just the guitar and that saxophone, man, we had a beautiful thing going, man. And I'm young enough to just say, "Come on, Joe, let's get it."
I'm asking. So this is a regional song, or were y'all just jamming?
No, that's a standard. That's a standard tune.
What's the name of the tune?
Invitation.
Invitation. Who did that first?
It's been done by so many people, man.
Okay, I understand.
It came out of it was a soundtrack for some movie back in the day.
Okay, I'll check that out. Oh, I'd like to. I'm going to reinsert that, man, in post production so we can hear that. That's
see,
really
I'm gonna eventually see. Look, Terrence wants to do something with that.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, man, I'm glad you brought him up. Boy, you all in my head. Let's talk about that, brother. Curly Martin, shout out Curly.
Yeah.
Our brother from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm trying to get him on the show. Tell him to come on the show, man. Holler out at him when So
I most certainly will. Well, see, Curly, when I left Frank Edwards, the organ player out of Kansas City, with Jerry Bennett, Wayne Bennett's brother, started playing with him. Him and Curly went with Frank. And they played all back east and everything.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And so Frank was a womanizer. So he ended up getting killed.
Oh, wow.
They said the girl that was with him shot him 6 times, but I don't think it was her.
Oh, man.
Anyway, and then after that, Jerry's mother died. He was on his way back to Oklahoma to her funeral, and he died. I think he was doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
Because he told me, he said, "Calvin, my mama died. I don't want to live neither." So he passed. So this is left Curly. So Curly lost Frank and Jerry. So he started drinking.
Oh. So Curly had left Omaha at this point? He was in LA.
No, they were in Vermont, back east.
Curly was living in Vermont?
See, Jerry had caught this lady that had a club.
I see.
And so Frank and Jerry and Curly was back there working 6 nights a week. And so when he lost Frank and then Jerry died, it took him to a whole nother thing. Man.
I understand.
He back to Omaha, and he started drinking. He became an alcoholic.
I understand.
Gerald Holtz called me one morning and said, "Calvin, Curly's got some problems, and we're going to have to get him out of here."
Wait, Gerald Holtz, remind me, Omaha organ player?
No, he was a barber. He had the barber shop down there on 24, across from the Jones Body Shop.
Okay, sure.
Him and King Richard. See, Gerald played bass.
I knew he played something. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And so that was my guru.
Oh, really?
He the one that inspired. He told me, he said, "Calvin, you see out all these guitar players around, ain't nobody playing shit, man, but you got to keep doing what you're doing. Because you got something."
And then
he called me, and so I called Curly. I said, "Curly, you got to get out of Omaha." I said, "Come on out here with me in Oakland. I got an apartment that is paid. My rent's paid up 6 months in advance. And all you got to do is just I'll get you some gigs with some of the cats, and you can buy your own food and stuff." You know, he came on out.
What year are we talking about, man?
Damn, when was that, man? That had to be in the
early 70s, right?
In the 70s, yeah. Because I had moved up here, and I had left Ray, and I was starting to work with Ahmad. And so what I did, all the gigs, I got Curly plenty of gigs around town with different cats.
Now, let me ask you something. I'm going back to Omaha because I want to keep that thread going.
Okay.
When he went and joined you in the Bay Area, Stimsy Hunter, all the younger cats, the horn players that went with Buddy Miles to California. Was that around the same time?
No, this is way after that.
That was after?
Yes.
So Curly had remained on in Omaha when all those cats
working with Frank, and they was traveling.
I see. Okay. Oh man.
See, when I met
the story, man.
See, another thing. See, when I was with Preston, See, George Miles had moved to South Bend.
George Miles, Buddy Miles.
But his daddy had moved to South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
So we stopped by South Bend on the way back to Omaha after a little trip through the Midwest. And Wilson Pickett called Buddy Miles. He needed a drummer. So he called Buddy in South Bend. And Buddy left and went with Wilson Pickett.
I didn't know that.
That was the beginning of his shit.
Oh my God. Okay.
And so he went on out with Wilson and started doing what he did with them. In the meantime, he ended up with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, man, of course.
That's when the shit took off. See,
but that's when Stimsy and the Cats joined him. I thought Curly was in that mix, though. No, because Buddy was a drummer. Yeah.
No, see, Curly was with Frank and them. He might have been part of it, but when he left with Frank, and then when Frank got killed, and then Jerry died, Curly was just out there.
Wow. Man.
So he came to stay with me in Oakland. I had an apartment down on 4th in Franklin. But I'm with Ahmad. I'm moving.
Sure.
But my rent was paid up 6 months in advance.
Sure.
That's why I told Curly, you can come in and stay here as long as you need to.
Was that in Oakland?
In Oakland, yeah. I got him some gigs working with Bobby Hutcherson.
Okay.
John Handy. And a bunch of the regular groups. But you get juiced and blown. So they saying, Keys, will you come up with this, this drunk ass playing drummer did so and so? I said, look, man. I told Curly, I said, look, Curly. I said, man, you doing a bad thing, man. You getting drunk, blowing these gigs. So I think I'm gonna have to send you back to Omaha on the Trailway bus, not a Greyhound. So, I said, you're gonna have to go get you some help. Well, I mean, you got to come go with me. I said, no. So he went on to AA. And he came back and I said, how'd it go? He said, well, it went okay, Cal. He said, but they gave me some pills to take. If I smell some alcohol, it will put me in a coma.
Oh.
I said, whoa. But he dealt with that. That's how he quit drinking.
Okay.
And so now the Beck Boys came through and they were going to Alaska.
Shout out to Ronnie Beck. He's been a part of this series. He's been on this show. Ronnie.
So Curly went to Alaska with him for about 5 or 6 weeks.
Okay.
He came back to Oakland. And the next thing I know, he went to LA.
Yeah, okay.
So when he went to LA, he met Rose.
Okay.
And that's Terrence's mama.
See, now talk about this young man who is just blowing up. He's second generation Omaha. He's born in California, right? But his daddy's from Omaha. And so he inherited all the music, man.
That's right.
What a young genius. What a young genius. I'm trying to get him on the show. But talk to me about Terrace.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do something together.
Okay, talk to me. Yeah.
So what he did, so when Curly went down and got hooked up with Rose, she got pregnant with Terrence. And he was born. So I'm his godfather.
Wow.
So I used to go down to LA and record with Stems in them and everything. But I would stay with Curly and Rose. And she said, Calvin, when Terrence was born, he was the howlingest nigga on the planet. But she said the only time he would shut up was when you go in there and take your guitar and play for him. She said, oh, remember that? I said, no, baby, I didn't know. But then, see, they was trying to get me hooked up with Rose's sister. We'd had a date or two, but that wasn't happening because me and Maria got hooked up, see. Sure. So then, so then Curly and Rose broke up and he moved to Minneapolis, I think.
Curly?
Went to Minneapolis and everything. Though he ended up working his way back to Omaha.
Yeah.
And, but, Curly was, his son was still down there with his mama.
Yeah.
I used to go down there and hang out with him all the time. I watched this little sucker grow up, man.
And so, I saw him on an interview. He backed up this famous rapper. What's his name? Wrote half them songs.
What was his name? Oh.
Man, one of the greatest rappers.
He won 5 Grammys.
Yes,
That
he
boy.
did. Yes, he did. And
2
if
of
you
them.
listen to the music on that brother's rap album, you hear jazz all in it. And I didn't know until last year that was Terrace behind that.
He won 2. He won 2 Grammys for
Yes,
us.
he did. And he's the producer of choice. I saw him with Herbie Hancock doing some
That's
stuff.
right.
And
And
so on an interview just recently, a few weeks ago, I see him doing an interview and he shouted your name out.
Oh yeah. Well,
My
see,
grandfather,
every time he coming up to
the band, he's got a band called Curly that he's
Sure.
getting to go in the
I went
Yoshi's
down
movie.
night before last and played with him at Yoshi's.
Wait a minute, he already hit in Yoshi's?
He had Yoshi's Friday and Saturday.
Under the band Curly, named after his dad. Oh my God, what was that like?
It was sold out.
I know that's right.
And he went in, I like that band he got too. He got that
It's
little
cool. Yeah.
Oh my God. And so he got to talking to the people and everything. And then he said, yeah, I got one of my gurus up here, my godfather, Calvin Keith.
Sure.
I called him up here.
No.
They stood me up. And I went up and played a couple of tunes with him.
No.
I think I picked up a couple of more fans.
Of course.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. But you see, he's got some other things that he wants to do with me.
Oh man. Well, give me a little scoop here, man. How that?
Well, I got an album out that album that I did with Stemsy, called Full Court Press.
I know that album. You sent me that album years ago.
I got it. See, James Gatson was the one that got me started on that album.
All right.
I told James I was in trouble. I wanted to do an album. James said, "Can you get down the keys?" I said, "Yeah." And I got down to LA. He gave me $1,000 and said, "There's my studio in the back. So all you got to do is pay the director."
Sure.
And I said, "Fine." And so I went in there and started. He put me in a hotel, rented me a car, and said, "Calvin, if you run out of money, say something to me, because I'm so busy. Just say something to me and I'll get it to you." He was the one that started Full Court Press.
Tell the people about James Gatson, man.
Ooh. See, when I first started working with Frank Edwards, when he came from Kansas City to Omaha, and interviewed me, James Gatson was the drummer. See, and James had just wrote a song called Loveland.
I didn't know he was a composer as well.
I seen him on Dick Clark's American Bandstand singing.
What? Who knew that?
I know. A lot of people didn't know. But then he left and went to LA and got hooked up with Charles Wright in the Watts 103rd Street.
Sure. Yes.
And that was the beginning of his shit. And then he played with all them. See, he incorporated that Louisiana funk.
Yeah, man.
He called the Popeye.
Popeye funk.
That's what it was called, the Popeye.
Yeah.
And so then he got hooked up with Bill Withers. And all them hits Bill had, James was playing drums.
Oh, I see.
And then he started doing all the sessions.
Excuse me.
He ain't looked back since then. So
not at all.
His name is like, he got the biggest name in drummers. When you talk about drummers in LA.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. You know, Ronnie Beck told me he worked with Grandma's Hands. What's his name?
Bill Withers.
Bill Withers actually produced something with him.
Yeah. And see, and James played all them records. You ought to see them gold records he got on his wall.
I bet that's right.
And so Ronnie was with the Tower of Power too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So, but he's on a couple of my records.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
He's on a couple of my records, man.
Yeah, man.
But see, me and Terrence is getting ready to do some things.
Yeah, talk to me about that young man. What is he, man? Where did he come from, bro? He's
just talented, man. I did an album called Electric Keys about 5-6 years ago. With Wide Hide Records. That's the one that's got this new record out.
Yeah.
And I did a CD release party at Yoshi's in San Francisco. And I had 4 or 5 horns on that gig. I looked out in the audience and I seen Terrence. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I got a surprise for y'all. And they said, huh, what's happening? I said, well, my godson is in the house.
Mm.
And a lot of people thought I said son.
Yeah.
I said, my godson. And he's an alto player, so I'm going to get him up here to play something. Come on, Terrence. You got your horn? He said, oh, yeah. He came up and sat in on, he played Autumn Leaves and shook the whole block up. And the cats got to, when we got to, he said, Calvin, I didn't know you had a son. I said, y'all wasn't listening. I said, that's my godson.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of his thing. And that was videotaped and shit. That's on YouTube. But see, after that, he went down there and that's when he produced. What's that boy he produced and did that? I can't think his name. I called him.
I can't think of it either, but he's one of the greatest rappers of.
I know Simon, what the hell was his name, man? But anyway.
K-Dat, it was his one name, his nickname was, but it's
he did. The boy won 5 Grammys, and 2 of them was for the producer, who was Terrence Martin.
Yeah, man.
And then Terrence did Hathaway's daughter.
Oh, Layla Hathaway, yeah.
And got a Grammy for that.
He's working with some cats, man.
He got some shit out with Herbie Hancock that's getting ready to come out.
I saw him in the studio.
He wants to put me up with his band in Kamasi.
That's the guy I was trying to think of. That boy's bad too, huh? Down in LA.
So we're getting ready to go into production for that, man.
Look at you.
Now he said, Cal, all these youngsters that I done introduced to this music and everything, he said they all want to play with you.
I know they do, see, because they need that.
Man. And I got another partner of mine called me this afternoon named Jaku. He's a guitar player in LA.
Okay.
He called me this morning around 11. He said, Cal. I said, what's up, Jaku? He said, I'm sitting here with me and George Benson listening at this new record of yours. I said, y'all listening to Blue Keys? He said, yeah. And he said, man, that is some of the coldest shit in the world.
Oh, man.
With these records. I said, I don't know, man.
He's with George Benson.
But he's a partner of mine that's got me affiliated with Kenny Burrell, see.
I understand.
He goes by and see Kenny. And see, I don't have Kenny's phone number, so I can't call it. So I have to call Jacques and tell him to go over and tell Kenny I send him my blessing. Kenny just turned 91.
Wow.
And see, when I met Pat Metheny, I went down to Kenny's 75th birthday.
Okay.
Celebration at Royce Hall at UCLA. And Kenny did a big thing with the guitar players, and he invited me to come down and help him celebrate his 75th birthday.
Wow.
I goes down there. Russell Malone and a bunch of other cats was all there. The last guy to come up was Pat Metheny.
Okay.
You see, I got a partner of mine who's not with us. I did 2-3 albums with him out of Denver. He used to play drums with Pat back in Wichita. And he told me, he said, Calvin, if you ever meet Pat Metheny, tell him I send my love and blessings. I said, okay. And so Pat came up the steps and he was behind the stage. And I said, Pat Metheny. He said, I beg you. Yes, sir. I said, I got a partner of mine told me if I ever ran into you to tell you hello. And he said, well, who was it? I said, his name was James Van Beer. Pat looked at me and walked over to me and started laughing and put his arms around me and said, you can't be nobody but Calvin Keys.
Oh, man. That's how that started, huh?
Man. That's how we met. Then after that, he wrote that song.
Take your call.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Labor Day is September 5th.
Uh-huh.
First Monday of September.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So now you got that now. I told you I'd find that out, and that's what's happening.
So how's your car?
Start it up. runs smoothly.
Did you say? Now, did you save any money?
Well, yeah. What he did is that he changed all the oil and free.
Okay.
And loaded up oil. I mean, that's the type of bennies I get from having known a mechanic for God knows how long.
Okay. Now, but you called me. I'm in the middle of a Zoom meeting with my partner over in Japan.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
That's all right. You didn't know, so I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You betcha.
Okay. Peace.
Okay.
That was one of my students, man. He had some car trouble, and I had to bail him out.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, Earl Rue, yeah, he was out. He's one of my students. I taught him years ago, and he plays pretty good too. But he's had a shoulder operation, and he's okay though. But he just wants.
Just a word about Pat Metheny. How bad is he? Bad boy. I've heard his music, but
he's a beast.
A beast.
Yeah. He's one of the greatest guitar players that's living today. He told me, he said, Calvin, I used to come down to OG's and listen to you, and you inspired me to start playing with organ players.
Huh.
I said, really? And then I left. And he said, you left town and you must have moved to California because I couldn't find you no more. And I said, well, yeah, I did. He said, well, I went to your website and started listening to some of your music, and I was inspired to start playing with organ players. He said, you did that for me. And that's how he wrote that song for me. He
wow.
said,
Calvin's Key.
I
got to track that song down and listen to it, man. That's quite an honor, brother.
So, I mean,
stuff like that, you'll live forever, boy.
You never know who's listening, do you?
You really never know,
yeah,
and you never know who you influence or who you impact with your music.
I know.
It's a beautiful thing, man. So let me just reflect back. We're gonna wrap it up real soon because I know you got it. Okay. It's getting late. But Omaha, Nebraska, coming up until you were 16. See, I would not have known you because you preceded me by 5 years. I'm 73, going on 74. So you're about 7 years difference.
Yeah, yes.
But you starting off as young as you did at 16.
Mm-hmm.
You were out there, man, when I was coming up. And by the time I got in high school, I told you the first time I actually saw you play was that college gig, man. I forget what the occasion was, but you'd come through. We did a special.
I might have had Victor Lewis with me.
You probably did, man.
Yeah, I graduated from the University of Nebraska in
Lincoln. Yeah, man.
And he came down to Omaha and played 4 nights with me. And he said, Calvin, I just graduated. Where you think I should go to California or New York? I said, carry your ass to New York.
Yeah, man. And guess what? Fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
The most I've seen of Victor and I are about the same age, I think. The most I've seen of Victor is in Tokyo. He come through playing the Blue Notes in Tokyo Lodge, man. Manhattan Jazz Quintet. And just so proud. That's my home.
And gets.
So, you name him, man.
And he's been with everybody because he's a hell of a writer.
And a professor of music.
Yes, he's a hell of a writer and plays his ass off.
Yes, he does. He's got some incredible CDs too. He sent me.
Oh my God, yes, he had.
Yeah.
That's another project that I got in the future coming up, man. Do something with Victor.
Oh, you need to do it, man.
Oh, him and his sister stayed across the street from me on 31st Avenue in the projects.
See?
His mama played piano and his daddy was a saxophone player.
I knew his dad, yeah, man.
I remember all that. And he came to me, and me and we were at the top of the village gate.
Oh.
He came in with his mom and his sister. And said, Calvin, huh?
In New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He said, Calvin, this is the first time I've had a chance to come to you and thank you for telling me to come to New York instead of And he had his mom and his sister, and they were on their way to St. Thomas.
Wow.
He said, we're on our way to St. Thomas, Calvin. He said, this is the only time I'm going to get a chance to thank you.
See?
I said, wow.
Isn't that something? Last time I saw Victor before Tokyo was in New York at the Sweet Basil. We're watching what's the jazz pianist name?
Cedar Walton?
No, Big Hands, Big Brother.
He's the one that just died, didn't he?
Oh, I can't think of.
The one played with Wes Montgomery.
Maybe.
Harold Mayburn.
Oh, I know Harold from Tokyo. Yeah, no.
Big Hands.
Yeah. Anyway, I was with Victor and a brother named an alto sax player from Kansas City, by the way. The names fail me right now, but these cats, he was big. Victor is major, man. You know, in this.
It wasn't. I wonder who. That wasn't Harold Mayburn, huh?
No, I'm thinking about real sweet
Big
Basil,
Hands.
Sweet Basil, and usually as a trio.
You sure it wasn't? Man. Damn, man. Basil was one of the spots, man.
Yeah, man.
Was it Hank Jones?
No, but
Hank
Jones stayed in Tokyo, man. Hank Jones.
Wait a minute. Oh man, Hank.
I think it starts with an M, but I just can't call it.
Because the Sweet Basils, man, who was that piano player and a bass player that used to play over there? And I went in there with Papa Joe Jones, and he went and got a newspaper and came back and started playing on the newspaper. And you thought,
yeah.
Man, what was it?
That was a nice club because if you sit up front, you're right in front of the band.
That was a spot.
That was the joint, man. Yeah.
Oh man, George DeVivier.
No,
that was him. It was and Hank Jones, is Alvin Jones and Alvin's brother, John. Hank Jones, Jimmy. Oh man, it was so many of them cats. But he played with everybody.
Yeah. This cat I'm thinking about, man, real nice jazz cat. Just so tasty, very tasty, but
yeah,
strong. But
anyway,
we can go on, and I want to invite you back, man. Let's do this some more because I love the stories. I'm gonna post this and share this, man. People not gonna believe these stories that you're breaking on. This is gonna be some first time some shit has been heard.
So what I want to do is come over there and play some music, man.
Well, man, by all means, I have a small club, and I got a Japanese cat that's playing a hell of a lot of flugelhorn, man. Unbelievable Japanese cat. I'll introduce him to you if he ever comes through. And it would, put you with a cat like that in Japan, and y'all be all over this.
Now, who is the girl that Ahmad's book? What's her name? The little Japanese girl, piano player.
I can't think of it.
Mousy or something. What's her name? She's a monster.
Yeah.
Sounds just like Ahmad too. And he's a
really? Yeah, I know what you're thinking about. I have to look it up though.
It's Jazz next couple of weeks.
She stays in New York, doesn't she? This girl.
Hey, you know what I'm talking about? What's her name?
Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to see it when she comes.
Going to play. She's in the Bay Area.
She'll be here next month.
Wow.
3 days.
And then of course there's Sadao Watanabe. You ever played?
That's right. I don't know Sadao, man, but he's a hell of a musician too.
Yes, he is too, and he loves the cats.
So what I like to do, man, I want to come over there.
I shouted out Buddy Williams to you. I just spoke. That's my brother, man. He's my younger brother. But
you drummer?
Buddy Williams, drummer. I told him, I said, I'm getting ready to do Calvin Keys. He said, oh, man.
That's my little partner. We done did some things together, too. Yeah, he's a monster, man.
Yeah, man.
So what I'm going to do, Craig Neely is putting together this TPK thing, and he's going to send to all the clubs that I've worked in and see if we can't get rebooked in all of them.
Sure, you're right. Sure.
He said, I got these 2 albums I got is doing some real good things. And he said, Keys, it's time for you to go on and start working again. So I'm ready.
2 albums you're speaking of is Blue Keys, the new one.
Simply Cal.
And Simply Calvin, right?
And I got another one that I'm working on that'll probably come out in the spring, and it's going to be called Silver Keys.
Okay.
Dedicated to the late Horace Silver.
Oh, wow. Oh.
One of the greatest American classical musical composers that ever lived.
Okay.
Now, I never met Horace, but I played with a lot of the musicians he's used over the years.
Yeah, a brother named Cunningham, 90-some years old in Las Vegas right now, used to come to Japan, was like brothers with him. And I interviewed him too for this series. And he told me, man, Horace was a monster. They used to
he was incredible, man. Wait till you hear this album that I put together for her.
Really?
It's going to be out this spring.
Really?
Yeah, I got two more. I got another date, which I'm getting ready to put Eddie Henderson and Gary Bartz.
Well, my label is just starting to come back after 15 years of digital download. Man, I had nothing to do, but now I'm back in the game with Paul Jackson's. I'm administering his estate and got this on the Black Octopus thing that he did with the head artist Herbie, Benny Maupin, and all the cats on it, and they recorded it in 1978 in Tokyo. So I'm chopping that right now worldwide. You know anybody in America who wants to distribute that, let me know, because I'll re-release it. But I'm into vinyl now, man. The vinyl's having a rebirth.
The vinyl is the hottest thing going
right now. So if you got anything, let me
you've heard Simply Calvin, right?
No, just I heard a couple of tracks.
Listen to it. I'm gonna get the vinyl on it in the next couple of weeks.
Beautiful.
And Blue Keys has already got vinyl. I got the vinyl for that.
Wow, already?
Yeah.
You dropped it on vinyl. Okay. Well, listen, that's what it is, man. And this client of mine in Tokyo, they're selling turntables now. It's so hot. People buying new.
Yeah, but you know, hey man, it started off with the what they started off with the 40 CDs. No, they're going all the way back to the tapes.
And analog is 100 years. You know, I told you about Max Sand doing the Ma Rainey vocals. Well, that's the history of recording on vinyl. That's when it started.
Yeah, Max Sand, you talk to again. I send my love.
She recording
I wrote called Touch.
See,
she sang it. One of the most beautiful. Touch is one of the most powerful statements you can make.
Wow.
Without touch, what is it?
Ain't nothing.
Well, I said, Calvin, if you had to choose between being blind and touch, what would you believe? I said, I'm gonna have to go with touch because I can see with touch.
Yes, that's right.
See with touch. You can't. If you're blind, you can't see nothing. But if you touch something, you can see.
That's right.
So you can feel. I learned that from Ray Charles too.
Yeah, Ray Charles, Papa Ray. You know what? I got a story about Ray Charles real quick. In Toyohashi, Japan, I'm in central Japan. A little bit west of me is a place called Toyohashi. They had a Louisiana Blues Festival, B.B. King headline, but Papa Ray was the #1 cat. And so I'm going for a B.B. King interview, man. I was with CNN at the time. He said, well, Mr. Adams, I'd like to talk to you, but just give it 20 minutes. I got to go over and pay my respects to Papa Ray. And that blew my mind. I said, so Ray is the cat?
Oh, yeah. I did the whole island with it.
Yeah?
When I first joined Ray, we did the whole island of Japan.
Wow.
In Osaka, the hotel we stayed in had a cook that made a lemon meringue pie. We used to fight to get to the first two.
Before I let you go, tell me the story you told me. You're on the set. Papa Ray, I know Papa Ray was a taskmaster. Now he didn't he didn't suffer any fools. Last time I saw him was in Hamamatsu, which is 20 minutes from me, and I'm waiting for him to come off the stage. He said, oh, young man, I remember you. I did the CNN interview with you. Very cordial cat, man, but it was no nonsense. He said, now, I'm not going to talk to you today because I'm tired and I got to go to the hotel. So you take care, be blessed, and split. Just like that. There wasn't no negotiation.
I hear you.
But you told me that he fired somebody on the spot. Or was that the time I was in? A bass player or something, he was angry. But you did tell me that one time he looked back at you and was like what you were playing, and he said to you, Calvin, keep it right there and don't let it go.
No, he turned around and hollered at me. He said, Calvin. I said, what? He said, turn that up some. Don't let that get away. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Charles. Yeah, I played blues for him. He loved the blues, man.
Oh, yeah? Oh, please.
Told me, Leroy Cooper said, Calvin, he was a band leader when I joined Ray. And I had to go to Milan, Italy to do a rehearsal for 5 hours to play the gig.
First, what?
And Leroy Cooper said, Calvin, out of all the guitar players that I've known Ray to have, he said, you can get anything he got.
What?
Are you serious? He said, I'm telling you, out of all the guitar players he done had, he loves you the most. You can get anything he got. Wow. And I said, yeah, I think so, because I play the blues for him.
Sure, you're right.
He loved the blues, man.
Yes, he did.
And that's that North 24th Street shit, man. The near North side.
My grandma, 2622 North 24th, between Miami and Ohio. I watched it all go down in elementary school.
In the Carnation Ballroom, too.
Speak out the back alley, me and my brother Jimmy, rest in peace. And, the Goodwin Crap House is right down at the end of the alley.
Barber shop and right there on the corner. But I want you to put in your mind, Malcolm, see, me and Terrence is getting ready to do something.
Man, I'm excited about it. And
I'm saying I want you to be able to just think about what if we did something and came over to Toe Town.
Listen, with that combination, are you kidding me?
Hey,
I can sell that, baby. That's
think about it. Music is a subconscious addiction.
Hey, listen, and Godfather and Godson combination. Come on.
Hey, take it. And I mean,
you
see, he wants to get that videotape of me and Joe Henderson too. He want to do something with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and look at that. I'm gonna play it in my headphones so I can hear it.
Yeah. Take it to your house and put it on a good machine.
But think of something that you want to re-release so I can, because I got a couple of clients over here.
Oh, I got some.
This Paul Jackson thing, and so let's get back with the reissue.
I got 2 tunes. This boy wanted me to go down to Caracas, Venezuela. It's a girl down there named Luz Marina. She's a pop star.
Okay.
Wanted to do a jazz album. He calls me.
Wow.
And gave me 2 songs. He said, Calvin, I want you to do these 2 tunes. So the 2 songs is Estate and The Island. And I gave him the 2 partners of mine. I said, I want y'all to make me sound like I'm with the LA Philharmonics.
Yeah, right.
And so I went down there and did them. I'm listening at the playback to Estate. And her manager got her at the airport. She flew into LA. She came into the studio while I was sitting there listening at the playback. And she said, and so he introduced us. And I said, nice meeting you, Luz, and so on and so forth. One of the most gorgeous things I ever seen in my life. And she listened and me listening. And she said, Calvin, did you just finish that? I said, yeah, I just did this, Estate. And she, oh, it's so beautiful. And I said, you sang, don't you? She said, yeah. I said, you want to sing this? She said, may I? I said, give her a microphone and put her in that booth over there.
Sure, you're right.
One time through.
One take.
When you hear it, you're going to say, good God Almighty.
And where was this recorded?
In Los Angeles.
Wow.
And then they had that coup right after that, see? That's what blew that.
Sure, I see.
He was going to send them 2 tunes I did, he was going to send them down to Caracas to the radio station and have them start playing it. Wow. They already wrote an article in the newspaper that she was coming to get hooked up with the jazz guitars master Calvin Keys in San Francisco. And they was going to travel stuff. But I'm going to get that. I want you to hear that.
Yeah, man. Please do. Please let me hear something.
Okay.
But listen, don't forget about me, and I'll be in touch. I want to do this again.
Okay.
Next project for me and with you is you and Terrace's thing, man. So
Okay.
hook me up.
And I'm waiting to hear from him because I sent him them contracts that he wanted to see yesterday. And he said he was looking at them today. So I want to find out what he's got in mind.
See, you right now. As soon as I get through talking to you, I'm writing contracts right now. Licensing for distribution and stuff. I've been doing that. Haven't done it in 50 years. I'm back in the game now.
Right on.
My attorney, Michael Ashburn, right there in Oakland, up in Pinot.
Okay.
Cat one phone call away. He said, "Yeah, man." He said, "Don't get that cat worldwide rights. You take Japan and the U.S. and give him Europe. You know that kind of advice."
See, Terrence introduced me to a guy night before last. He said he's got international distribution over the planet.
Holler at me, man, so I can drop some product.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna talk to him soon as you call me. And he said, Calvin, I want you to do 3 tunes with this band I got and watch what happens. So I said, I'm ready, baby. And
see, whatever. And then here's a marketing scheme for you. If you do a short album, how many tunes you looking at? 5 or 6 for an album?
Well,
you only get 25 minutes on the side on vinyl, you know. So
yeah, you ain't but so much time you can do on each side. So
right,
that's a problem I've had.
Five, 3 on one side, 2 on the other, something like that.
Yeah, but it's gonna be.
But what am I saying is put a bonus track for Japan on that and watch what happens.
Okay, I'll do that.
Keep that in mind.
Right on, my brother.
And we'll talk, and then let me shop it.
Okay.
One love to you, man. Appreciate you.
Well, you got people in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I do.
Who are they?
Michael Ashburn is a longtime entertainment attorney. He had MC Hammer. He had Ice Cube back in the day.
Okay. Michael what?
Ashburn. ASHBUR.
Now, who's the one with the daughter that comes to some of my concerts?
That's
He used to be at the University of California, wasn't he? Or San Francisco or something?
No, that's my big brother. That's my nephew. That's Mike Adams. He's number 2.
Yeah. Where is he?
He's still in San Francisco. I got another brother, David, in Richmond, north of Richmond. My sister Joan just moved back to L.A., and my 2 daughters, my Japanese daughters, are in L.A. with my grandkid. And then, so, yeah, we got my brother Mike, who knows you.
Tell Mike to call me.
I will do, man. I'll shout him out and tell him.
I ain't seen him in a while, so.
Yeah.
I need to see him. What's his daughter's name?
Angela.
That's right. Yeah. Tell him to call
Matter
me.
of fact, I saw her on Facebook. I said, just talked to Calvin Keys, getting ready to interview him, and he shouted you out. I didn't know you knew
right
him.
on. Yeah,
I have a lot of cousins right there on Lakeshore, man. The Adams has, yeah, man. A lot of people know you.
We got to hook up, man. Just send me all that information.
When I come back, I always stop off in San Francisco or LA, but I'll hop off in San Francisco. But I'm on a mission now with you, man. We go.
Okay,
we got to get you.
Call me, man. And he got my number. I think he still got it.
Yeah, I'll shout him out and tell him to holler at you.
Okay, beautiful.
All right, one love to you, bro. Appreciate it.
You too, man.
Let me close this show. Thank you very much for listeners for tuning in. This is the great Calvin Keys in the Bay Area of America.
Thank you, my brother.
On Japan Journal. Rap About It with your host, Mal Adams. We'll be back with him and more as this series goes on.
All right.
Thank you. All right, brother. Peace and love.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Right on. Peace.
Bye-bye. All right.